You have to be remarkably self-aware of your haqiqah before you can be truthful to yourself. Because if what the manifestation today of being truthful to yourself is, which is to basically speak out and to overtly articulate my thoughts and my feelings and my reflections, and to just do it all the time, daily or hourly or even momentarily, whether it's through Snapchat or Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and it's just a endless stream of self, and consciousness of self that's just being put out there, unfiltered. Well, perhaps it's a very dangerous precedent that's developed, because everything that we see in our prophetic tradition is one of, man kana yu'minu billahi falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut, right? Those who believe in Allah and the afterlife, then let them say good or to stay quiet, right? So staying quiet is essential in the prophetic path, and only speaking when you need to speak, right? And so I think perhaps there are some virtues, there's no doubt, for the Prophet ﷺ is commanded in the Qur'an, فَاصْدَعْ بِمَا تُؤْمَرْ, go out and call and speak confidently with what you were commanded with, right? So speak, بَلِّغْ, مَا أُرْسِلْتَ, go out and call and relay that which you were, sent with. So there is definitely a space, a place, a method, an approach, and a type of speech that we can say is meaningful to be out there and that needs to be said. But if the call out culture or keeping it real or saying it as it is simply a reflection of my nafs, right? Then that's a problem. I mean, that's a problem, that's a big problem. Because that's chaos. That's a lot of nufus just being spilt out into the public sphere. And we know that our nufus very often, the standard of it is ammara bisu, right? It is inclined towards evil or imploring us or compelling us to evil. So we have to be very careful that we don't put ourselves out there too much, because number one, it puts us at risk ma Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I put myself out there, it's a very vulnerable and compromised state, to put myself out there. I can tell you somewhere where we would love to be hidden, and that is the afterlife. Yawm al-Qiyamah, we would, we're going to desire and yearn to be unseen and hidden. If we could just be a speck on the floor, we would prefer that. We'll be fleeing, right, from sight, but there is nowhere to flee from. You will always be in sight. So perhaps there is undoubtedly a correlation between being hidden in the afterlife necessitates being hidden to some extent in the dunya, right? And only being present when you have objectively analyzed like virtue in doing so, right? And that you've really considered and measured what it is that you're putting out there, But if it's indulging certain nafsani desires, Ghaidar is someone that I really have a problem with, and he's a public figure, or he's someone who's out there tweeting and Facebooking or whatever it is, and then he makes a mistake, and then I'm right there to be the first one to say my opinions on what Ghaidar has done. Yeah. What's really compelling that? Is that some objective virtue?
Take a screenshot of my status first.
Yeah, or is that some shahwa? Is that a shahwa playing out? Because this is a disease that we all have to be careful with, right? Is it a shahwa that's playing out, or is there a clear objective virtue?
Very interesting that you mention, how we wish to be hidden, unlike what's permeating now on social media per se, or in the public spaces. It's the exact opposite, and it's probably because of how we believe, and it's in our tradition that we wish to be hidden because of the immense accountability, of the immense price to pay, and that kind of propels us to be like, okay, I just want to be a speck on some, I just want to be a fly on the wall. Maybe more of an actualizing or more of a realizing of that accountability needs to happen now, so that we can desire that, inwardly and, naturally desire that, I really want to speak when it's really necessary, when something that is spoken of, from my side is something that is, of khair and not reflecting on the nufus. So I guess I wanted to ask you, the first thing is, okay, we understand that we need to, find that balance, but what is it about ourselves that we need to understand whenever something happens, whether it's on Facebook or on, in front of a gathering, or either in a public place or in a private place? What is it that I have to discern, when it comes to my initial desire to speak? Yeah. Is it coming from my aql? Is it coming from my nafs? Is it coming from my heart? Is my heart clouded? Yeah. All of that, I wanted to kind of bring it first.
I think this is precisely the path that we have to consider, because every moment is a moment of muhasabah. For the spiritual seeker, the one who's trying to attain the pleasure and the rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it always must be a process of self-accounting, right? So rather than being true to myself as it is, and that's very often a flawed state, it's a question of, hold on, perhaps I need to be in a state of self-rectification, right, and self-purification, that will beget, right, the ultimate truth, and that is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Because the only way to be essentially truthful with a capital T is when you are oriented around al-haq, right? That is the only time you are absolutely true. If we're going to use the word truth, then we have to talk about al-haq, Allah, because He is the only truth with a capital T.
To listen to the full episode, please visit Imanwire.com.